I received another email with an unbelievable, yet real, story. The subject line read, "He said it was an Airbnb, but it was a trap." I'll read it for you. The house on Mercer Street. My name is Madison Clark, and if you're hearing this, it's because I want someone, anyone, to know what really happened to me last year in Savannah, Georgia. Because honestly, I'm still not sure how I got out of there alive. It started with what I thought would be a quiet escape. After quitting my job in Chicago, a burnout cocktail of overwork, insomnia, and a boss who thought boundaries were optional, I needed a break. I didn't want to stay with friends or family. I wanted somewhere new. Alone. Peaceful. So I booked a house through a listing that seemed too good to be true. And it was. The place was on Mercer Street, one of those old, shady lanes in the heart of Savannah's historic district. The house had that southern charm, a white colonial with ivy creeping up the sides, black shutters, and a little balcony draped in hanging plants. The pictures showed warm lighting, cozy vintage furniture, exposed brick. Even the kitchen looked like it belonged on the cover of a lifestyle magazine. The host's name was Tom. He emailed back within minutes after I sent an inquiry. "Hey Madison! The house is available, and if you're willing to book direct instead of through Airbnb, I can knock $200 off your stay. Just trying to avoid the fees, smiley face. Let me know." Normally I wouldn't even consider that. But Tom sent over a full lease agreement, a copy of his ID, and said he'd leave the key in a lockbox behind the house. The documents looked real. The tone felt friendly. And honestly, I didn't want to think too hard. I just wanted to get out of the city and start over. So I wired the money. The arrival. I pulled into Savannah around 6:30 p.m. It was warm, sticky, the air buzzing with the sound of cicadas and the kind of quiet that only old towns can hold. Tom had texted me the code to the lockbox. True to his word, I found it under a cracked pot beside the back door. The house was exactly like the photos. Almost. The layout was the same, but something felt off. The lighting was colder. The furniture was slightly rearranged. And there was a smell, faint, chemical, like fresh paint or glue. I chalked it up to nerves. After all, I was here to decompress, right? I unpacked, made tea, sat on the balcony. It was peaceful. But that first night, I didn't sleep well. There was a low clicking sound behind the bedroom wall. I thought it might be pipes. Or maybe raccoons. Savannah's old homes were famous for all kinds of surprises. Then I noticed the smoke detector had a tiny blue light, blinking. Not red, blue. And then I realized there were 2 smoke detectors in the bedroom. One near the door, and one directly over the bed. The visit. Tom showed up on the 3rd day. He texted first. "Hey! I'm nearby. Just want to swing by to make sure everything's working. Won't take long." I didn't want to seem rude, so I said sure. He arrived 15 minutes later in a dark green pickup truck. Tall, maybe late 30s, in jeans and a polo shirt. Friendly smile. He looked normal. Too normal. He didn't come inside right away. Just leaned against the railing on the porch and made small talk. "How's the place treating you?" "Quiet," I said. "Almost too quiet." He laughed at that. Then he asked a strange question. "You've been sleeping okay, yeah? No weird dreams or anything?" I didn't know what to say. It was such an odd thing to ask. He left shortly after. No inspection. No repairs. Just that question. And a lingering look over his shoulder as he walked to his truck. That night, I noticed something else. Behind the wardrobe in the bedroom, the wallpaper didn't line up. It looked like it had been peeled back and re-glued hastily. I pulled at it. Underneath was a hole. Not large, but cleanly cut, like it had been made with tools. On the other side, darkness. A crawl space? I couldn't sleep that night. Every creak in the old floorboards made me flinch, and the blinking light above the bed kept pulsing in the dark like a tiny eye. Eyes in the walls. The next morning, I did what anyone else would have done. I told myself I was overreacting. I tried to enjoy breakfast, oatmeal and coffee on the back porch. I tried to read. I even walked downtown, visited the River Walk, and bought candles from a cute little shop on Broughton Street. Savannah was beautiful. Tourists strolled past in sun hats. Couples rode by on rented bikes. There was music, food, and sunlight. But when I came back to the house, something was wrong. The front door was unlocked. I was certain I had locked it. I double-checked everything that morning. I always do. It's a habit. OCD, maybe? But the lock was turned. Not broken, not forced, just unlocked. I stepped inside slowly. Nothing looked disturbed. My bag was still where I left it. Laptop untouched. Closet the same. But the house felt different. Like someone had exhaled into the walls while I was gone. I decided to call Tom. He didn't pick up. I left a message, casual, but direct. Hey Tom. Just wanted to check in. Did you or anyone else come by the house today? The door was unlocked when I got back, and I'm a little freaked out. Let me know. No reply. That night, the clicking came back. This time louder. Behind the wall. I couldn't sleep. At 1:42 a.m. I got out of bed and stood there barefoot, staring up at the blinking light on the smoke detector. Blue. Again. I grabbed a chair and climbed up. It wasn't a smoke detector. At least, not anymore. The plastic had been modified. Inside was a lens. A camera. A hidden camera, staring directly at the bed. Wired, not wireless, the cord snaked back into the ceiling. I jumped down and sat on the floor, heart thudding in my throat. I felt cold, sick. What else was watching me? I didn't think. I just started tearing the house apart. I found a second camera in the bathroom, behind the mirror, placed at an angle that captured the entire room. A third was mounted inside a vent in the living room. There were tiny holes in the walls that had been patched and painted, but not perfectly. A flashlight revealed them all. It wasn't just surveillance. It was a setup. And I had walked right into it. The basement. The next day, I booked a hotel downtown. But before I left, I needed proof. Tom still hadn't answered. His Airbnb profile, the one he'd used when I first saw the listing, had vanished. Deleted. I tried reverse image searching the house photos. They turned up on a real estate blog from 2016. The listing was fake. The photos had been stolen. Before I left, I decided to check the basement. I hadn't even opened the door. It was in the back hall near the laundry, painted the same color as the walls, almost hidden. It was locked. But there were fresh scratches around the handle, like someone had recently tried to break in. And the lock was cheap. I used a screwdriver to pop it open. The stairs creaked. It was darker than I expected. I turned on my phone flashlight. The smell hit me first, mildew, chemicals, something rotten. And then I saw it. A mattress. A stained mattress on the concrete floor. Beside it, a ring of empty water bottles, a box of snacks, and a camera tripod. There was soundproofing foam on the far wall. 2 chairs. A chain. And in the corner, a mannequin. Dressed in women's clothing. Blonde wig. Lipstick. Eyes painted blue. Exactly like me. I backed up the stairs so fast I nearly fell. He was watching. I drove to the hotel shaking. At the front desk, I asked to pay in cash. No ID, no name. Just a room. I locked the door and barricaded it with a chair. I sat in the tub with the lights off and texted my best friend back home. If something happens to me, look up a guy named Tom in Savannah. It wasn't an Airbnb. It was a setup. I found cameras. A basement. I'm scared. She responded instantly. Go to the police. Now. So I did. At the precinct, they took my statement, looked at the photos I'd taken, and opened an investigation. A detective named Alvarez seemed to take it seriously. This isn't the first time we've seen something like this, he said. But this is more elaborate than usual. He asked if I was okay staying in the city while they processed the house. I said no. He nodded. Then go. But stay alert. If you hear from him, don't answer. Don't go back. We'll find him. That was the last thing he said to me. Nowhere feels safe. I left Savannah the next morning. Didn't even pack properly, just stuffed everything into my trunk and drove north without looking back. The police had my photos, my statement, the lease, the fake ID Tom had used, and the serial numbers on the cameras I'd found. They said they'd be in touch. But days passed. Then a week. Then 2. And I never heard from them again. I told myself it was over. That the house was shut down. That Tom would disappear into whatever hole he crawled out of. That I was safe. But the story wasn't finished. It came 18 days later. At 2:12 a.m. A text. From an unknown number. No name. No context. Just, did you sleep well? My throat went dry. My hands trembled over the screen. I didn't reply. I didn't sleep. I watched the door until morning. The next day, I changed my number. Again. I deleted every app. I called the detective, Alvarez, but he wasn't available. He's off the case, someone said. Transferred. Transferred? Just like that? Paranoia or pattern? I moved twice. Different cities. Used cash. Stayed offline. But weird things kept happening. At one apartment, my window screen was found on the ground outside one morning. The manager said it was probably wind. There hadn't been wind that night. In a rental cabin in Asheville, I found a sticker on the inside of the smoke detector. It said, "Inspected by Tom." Coincidence? Joke? Or message? I googled Airbnb hidden cameras and fell into a rabbit hole. Dozens of stories. People who had found cameras behind vents, inside alarm clocks, even inside showerheads. In some cases, police were able to trace them to landlords or hosts. But in most cases, the trail went cold. The cameras vanished. The hosts disappeared. Just like mine. A familiar face. It was a grocery store in Pennsylvania. Middle of the day. Busy. Safe. I was reaching for a carton of milk when I saw him. Down the aisle. By the end cap of chips. Same height. Same build. Baseball cap pulled low. Sunglasses. I froze. He didn't look at me. He didn't approach. But he didn't need to. I knew it was him. When I finally moved, he was gone. I told myself again, paranoia. It had to be paranoia. Until I got to my car. There, on the windshield, was a single photo. A printout. From a security cam. It was me. Sleeping. In the bed from Savannah. The final email. I went back to Chicago. I had nowhere else to go. That's when the email came. Not from Tom, from a burner address. Subject line. You shouldn't have gone into the basement. The message had no body. Just a video. I didn't want to open it. But I did. It was night vision footage. The timestamp matched the second night I stayed at the Mercer Street house. I watched myself sleeping, turning over, talking in my sleep, unaware. Then the door creaked open. A figure entered the room. Stood over the bed. Watching. Breathing. It wasn't just a camera in the ceiling. He had been in the room. That night, I played music loud and tried to drown it all out. At 3 a.m., The fire alarm in the hallway went off. I ran outside in my pajamas. Called the landlord. He said it was probably a faulty sensor. That the alarm system hadn't been inspected in a couple years. Inside, the alarm reset. Silence returned. But when I stepped back into the apartment, I swear I heard it. A voice. Low. Close. Right behind the bedroom wall. Still watching. The ones who don't escape. After the voice behind the wall, I did what I should have done weeks ago. I stopped running. I contacted a friend, someone who used to work in digital forensics. Told him everything. Showed him the email, the footage, the photos, the text messages. He didn't ask why I'd waited so long. He just said, "Let's find him." We started digging. Cross-referencing names, emails, burner phone numbers, IP addresses. Most of it went nowhere. But one domain, from the email with the basement video, had been registered through a server based in Florida, a town called Ocala. Through that, we found the original IP, then a backup email, then an address. The warehouse. It wasn't a house. It wasn't even residential. It was a warehouse, on the outskirts of town. According to public records, it was registered to a company called South Ridge Systems, a media storage firm. But the company didn't exist. No website. No business license. Nothing. Just a building. With one loading dock. No windows. We sent the address to a contact in law enforcement. He said it would take a while to get a warrant. But something about his voice told me it would never happen. So we drove there. What we found inside. The place was unlocked. It didn't look abandoned. There were tire tracks in the dirt. A faint smell of bleach in the air. Inside, it was dark and cold. Rows of shelves. Empty boxes. Old monitors. Then a door. Reinforced. Locked with a keypad. Next to it, a fuse box, wide open. My friend, Liam, knew what he was doing. He pulled one wire, looped it, and the lock clicked open. Behind that door was a room. A studio. Lined with monitors. Dozens of them. Each screen showed a different room. Bedrooms. Bathrooms. Kitchens. Some of them I recognized. Most I didn't. All of them had people. Women. Alone. Sleeping. Reading. Showering. None of them knew they were being watched. There was a desk with drives, hundreds of them, and a wall covered in printed headshots, rental addresses, timestamps. And in the middle, a single sticky note. Airbnb is just a word. The files. We copied everything. Every drive we could carry. Every backup. We handed them to the police the next morning. And that time, finally, they listened. The warehouse was raided the next day. The footage went back 8 years. At least 42 properties. 17 states. And Tom? That wasn't his name. Not really. Who he was. His real name was Elliot Frazier. Age 41. No criminal record. 2 degrees. Former AV technician. He'd once worked as a private contractor for a short-term rental startup. Exactly the kind of job that gave him access to properties, blueprints, and systems. He'd created fake listings. Stolen property photos. Doctored IDs. Rented homes under shell companies. Wired homes with cameras and audio, then vanished before being traced. Sometimes he'd only watch. Sometimes not. In 3 cities, women had gone missing after renting homes later tied to him. None of them were found. One of them had been staying at a house with the exact same layout as the one on Mercer Street. Same mattress. Same basement. The trial that never happened. But Elliot Frazier never went to trial. He was arrested in Flagstaff, Arizona, 3 weeks after the raid. 2 days later, he was found dead in his cell. Hanging. No note. Case closed. Or so they said. 6 months passed. I started to sleep again. I went back to work. I changed my name online, my address, my email. I began to believe it was finally over. Then I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. Just one file on it. A recording. A woman's voice. Crying. If someone finds this, please, my name is Amanda Lou. I stayed at a house in Tallahassee. I think they're watching me through the mirrors. I hear noises in the basement. Please help me. Cut. Then static. Then another voice. A man's. Whispering. Right against the mic. You can't save them all, Madison. I destroyed the drive. But some nights, when it's quiet, and I close my eyes, I still see the blinking light above my bed. The end. Or not. Let me know what you think in the comments. This was Tell Me What Happened. I'll see you in the next story.